Hey guys, I'm out here in the shop again today. I've been messing around with this machine for a while. I just put a new acorn board in it, and I got the clear path motors, and man, this thing moves. You can't even believe how fast the thing goes. I'm not going to show you. You have to see that on a different day. But right now, what I'm doing is, you see that plywood box that I have there? That's my gantry. And that plywood box is not, there's no gussets on the inside of it. And I don't know if you could see, but this thing is not very sturdy. It moves. If I pull on this pretty good, it'll move. The top of this will move compared to the bottom 65 thousandths in both directions. So what happens to that is when the bit is in the work, it pushes, if you're going this way, it pushes the bit back that way. And when it changes direction, it relieves that pressure. And then the bit makes a mark in the material. And when it starts going the other way, it pushes the bit the other direction. And then when it changes direction again, it does the same thing. So it only does it in the Y axis. It doesn't do it in the X, because, you know, this thing is, you know, more solid in that direction, but this is no good. You can see the whole spindle is going up and down when that happens. So that's the problem. And the bigger problem is that I didn't put any gussets inside of that box when I built that. And I didn't even know what I was really doing when I built this, but I did it anyway. And it worked. I made a lot of stuff on it. In fact, this whole Z-axis, all this aluminum plates, I made all those plates on this machine when this thing here was not here. I had a hand router in there. And all this metal that's here was all plywood. And I made all these aluminum parts to put on the machine. So I made parts with the machine to make the machine better. But anyways, that's all done, and that's not going to get changed. And I keep looking at aluminum and steel for the gantry, and I kind of decided against steel or aluminum, and I'm going with something that's a little different. And I'm thinking, probably shouldn't think, gets me in trouble all the time, but anyways, I'm thinking that what I got over here is going to be much stronger. So let me show you what I have here. So manageable size. So that is the end. Let me get my finger in the way. That is the end of the new box. That is an inch and three quarter thick pieces of LVL lumber. That's an 8x8 box, the same size as the one that's on the machine now, because I don't want to have to rebuild that whole Z-axis thing to make any kind of change to that. So I made it the same size, and it's going to be it's all bolted together with barrel bolts. So it's really strong. The other thing that's going to happen is I'm going to put braces in here. I think they call them gussets inside of here, and I'm going to bolt them to here and here, and that's going to stop all that movement. Well, I hope it stops all that movement anyway. I think it will, because the other one is I have screws holding it together, and this one has what they call barrel bolts. That's what I call them. You can call them whatever you want to call them. People do call them all kinds of different names, but I call them barrel bolts. And if I want to call them barrel bolts, sorry about all the jerking and moving around. I'm trying to adjust the camera. Anyway, so this here is a bolt. This here is what they call a barrel nut. Or some people call them a cross something or other. I don't know. I think it's a stupid name. These are also known as bed bolts. They've been using them to hold the stringers that hold the mattress up that are bolted to the legs. These are inside the stringer. These go in the back of the leg and they go screw right in there like that. And when they tighten that thing up, that thing is not coming out. That leg is going to be so tight that it's never going to wobble. If it does wobble, guess what you do? You take the plug out of the leg, you go in there with a wrench and you tighten up that bolt. And when you do that, that bed's like brand new again, you know, it's not wobbling anymore. But typically, bed bolts don't loosen up. Sometimes, you know, humidity changes and stuff like that, maybe they do, but not much. So anyway, you might be asking yourself, how the hell do I put one of these things in there? Well, it's simple. And there's a ton of different ways of doing it, but I think the way that I'm doing it is way easier, faster, and just as accurate as any of the rest of them, so long as you pay attention to the rules. So this is the thing that I made, and it started out like this, just a square block. It's perfectly square. It's 1 5/8 both ways. It's cut square on the ends, and what I did with this piece, it wasn't this piece, it was this piece. This was a longer piece, and I cut this length off the end. So now it's square here, it's square here. It's exactly the same thickness as this and this. So what I did was I took a line right here. That's where I wanted the bolt to land. When I put it on here, that bolt, I wanted to be 13/16 of an inch from the edge. And let me show you that better. This bolt, it's 13/16 of an inch away from this surface. So it's 13/16 away to the center. And then I wanted it bolt down. I wanted this part of the bolt, the barrel nut, or the bed, I wanted that down there so that there was enough material here so I wouldn't crush it so much. These are not going to be excessively tight. They're going to be set in this hole. They're going to go sort of like that, only inside. And all of these joints are going to get glued, possibly with construction adhesive. I'm not sure if I'm going to bother doing that because wood glue is just as strong as that crap. I don't care what anybody tells you. You put glue on here and you clamp this with these bolts. That thing is not coming apart without destroying itself. You'll rip the laminates apart trying to take it apart. So what I did was I found a location for where this hole wanted to be. And, you know, then I said, well, where am I going to put this hole? I'm going to put this hole here, or I'm going to put it there. So here's my limitation. I could only go to there because my bolt, that's the length of my bolt. And some of these are going to get countersunk. So I'm probably going to, if I countersink one of them, I'm probably going to do all of them. And then there's going to be a washer underneath the head so it don't eat into the wood. And then these bolts are going to go into those holes. So the way you do this is very simple. You take this tool, you have a line where you want to put your bolt. Here's a line here, and there's also a line there. There's a line on the end of here, which is in the center. There's another line that's also in the center. You could use either one to line this up. You just put this thing right on there like that. Let me get you a little closer. Okay. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah, I think that's good. Then you get the clamp. You put the clamp on. Of course, I got a bolt sticking up in the back of here, so I'm gonna shift it a little bit. So you kind of get the clamp close to where it needs to be, and then you jiggle it around a little bit until the line's lined up. And then once it's snug, little tap, little tap. And then you really crank this thing down. You want that thing super tight. So then you check it. It's tight everywhere up against the wood. And then you get this guy here. This is a, not sure what size it is. It's bigger than 1/4 of an inch. One size bigger. 17/64 maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, it's bigger because this is an M6 bolt. This is about 230 some odd thousandths in diameter. And you want a little extra space around the bolt. And you also need a little bit of space around where the barrel goes in. So the drill for that is a little bit bigger than the barrel is. So just so you know, don't try to use the exact size bolt diameter drill or the one for the barrel, because you're just going to kill yourself, and it doesn't make any difference. So here's what you do. First thing you do is you put this drill bit all the way in the hole. Don't turn it on. If you go up like this and you turn it on and this thing is crooked, you're going to make that hole a different size. You want to keep that hole as close to pristine as it was when you first drilled it. So in order to do that, you got to put the drill all the way in there. And it's not easy because I've drilled, I don't know, 18 of these things already. And it's still pretty good shape. So you put it in there and just turn it on, you go to town. You go all the way in. And there's the trick. Leave the drill in the hole. If you don't, when you take this big monster and put it in over here, hopefully you can see that. When you take that big monster and you put it in this hole over here, this thing is going to move. There's no stopping it, but this helps it hold it in place. So it won't spin around. Plus, this clamp is really tight. So here we go. We're going to drill right through this thing. It's not going to hit this drill. Take my word for it. It's never, even if I put that all the way down, it ain't going to do it. But so, right through. I usually go like that a little bit just to clean the chips out. And then you take this drill out. And then you take this thing off. You can see that you can do this pretty fast. Even with me jabbering about it, it goes pretty quick. So then the next thing you do, take this drill again, jam it down in this hole, and you send it home, all the way in. So what that does is it keeps this bolt, if it goes through the nut, this nut goes this bolt hole goes way down here. So there's no chance of that thing bottoming out. So then you get your air gun, which is slightly over there. And then you blow that thing out. Get all the crap out of the hole. You don't want anything in there because that's going to interfere with the next procedure that you have to do. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to show you what you have to do and what you have to know about this nut. You can see this nut doesn't have a chamfer on this side. I don't know why they don't chamfer both sides, but they don't. Probably because they would have to turn the thing around and it'd be a second operation. This side has that big chamfer on it, you can see. At least I think you can see. Let me look in the... yeah, you can see that. I think you can. Anyway, so that's got a big chamfer in it. So that chamfer is where you want the bolt to go in. And I'll tell you a reason why. Is because when you put this in the hole, If it's on this way, it's way more difficult to start that bolt. This one over here, if you do it this way, it helps you a lot. So let me get you in position here. I'm going to show you how I put this bolt in here. Okay. Now I got a little bit. Change that a little bit. All right. So also you notice the hole is here. If you put the bolt in there, you can see that slot in the end of that bed bolt or that barrel bolt is even with the bolt shank itself. So you got to keep that in mind, because when you put that bolt in there, or that nut inside that hole, if it's like this, you're never going to get that bolt in there. It has to be straight up and down. So another reason why you might want to have a line so you can kind of keep it that way. So I only put the bolt in that far, and then I drop the bolt all the way in and push that in. That nut, that barrel nut, is up against that bolt right now. So then, with just a little bit of pressure, I pull this bolt up a little bit. I give that a little wiggle, and it starts going in. And then it's only in maybe, I don't know, less than 1/8 of an inch. So then I put pressure down on the bolt, and I start wiggling the barrel nut, and there it goes. I don't know if you saw that. The bolt just dropped. So then just turn it with your fingers. Do not put a wrench on this thing. Turn it with your fingers, and guess what happened? It's caught just like that. So you can see that there's a good deal of space around this bolt. It does not matter. It does not matter whatsoever. So don't even worry about that. The barrel nut is pretty tight in the hole. So when you tighten this thing down, you got a really strong connection. I'm not tightening them all that much right now. I got to take this whole thing all apart again and put all the gussets inside, put the glue in there, and do all that stuff. And then I got to take all these bolts, all these barrel nuts. I got to put it all back together. So that's not going to happen today. But this is going to be a strong connection. It's way stronger than taking a screw, like that screw right there. That screw right there. That is just screwed in there temporarily just to hold this thing together while I'm doing all this work. So between all these bolts, these are 6 1/4 inches apart, I think. All the way, the length of this thing is 55 3/4 long. So there's 9 bolts on every joint in this whole thing. So I got 7 more to do now because there's 9. And I got to go all the way down the other end with these. So I'm not going to force you to sit and look at all that stuff. Anyways, I've just started this channel about a year ago. I've been fooling around with different stuff, and it took me a while to figure out what name I was going to use. I had a couple other ones that I changed them, so now I'm known as Technological, which is kind of a, whatever they call those things. But it fits the way I do things anyways, and I think it's a better name than all the rest of them that I had before. And I do a lot of technical stuff. I mean, I've been a mechanic all my life, and that's what I do. So I know stuff about everything. That sounds kind of stupid, but kind of braggy even. But I do know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. So, I mean, I've worked in all kinds of different fields, and machine shops and sewer treatment plants, worked on trucks, cars, heavy equipment. I've done a lot of stuff, a lot of mechanical stuff. And since I'm retired, I got a lot of time. Well, shh, don't tell nobody you're retired. When they find out you're retired, they say, oh, we need some help. Oh, I know who we can get. We can get that guy that just retired. He doesn't have anything to do. You're wrong about that. I got plenty to do. I got more than I can handle. So anyway, if you would be so kind and would like to see more videos, you should subscribe to my channel, and that way you can turn the notifications on if you want, or you don't want. Maybe you can just, once you subscribe, you'll see my videos come up on YouTube every once in a while. And I try to do at least 1 or 2 a month, but sometimes life gets in the way. So sometimes that doesn't happen. But if it does, and you're subscribed, you'll see, that there's new material from me on there. And some of them are good, some of them are not so good. I'm not a videographer or anything like that. And, I typically don't do a whole lot of editing. Whatever you see is what I took for, the video. That's what you're gonna get most of the time. And I do like to babble a lot and tell a lot of stupid jokes and, stories about things I've done and places I've been and, all the stupid, idiotic crap that you can even imagine. So you have to be a little prepared for that. But anyway, subscribe if you want. I'm going to get back to work, and I'm going to leave you alone. Bye.